Hello, hello, hello. I'm your host of Joyful Moments with Joy. Yeah, you feel it. Get them up. I need a thumbs up. Hey, I need a thumbs up. Hey. Subscribe. Show me some love. Share. Psalms 119 and 59. I thought about my ways and turned my feet toward your testimonies. All right, you heard that right. I thought about my ways. We're going to do some self-evaluations on today, ladies. Remember, you know down deep inside, you desire to experience the relationships that you're reading about. Christian romance is delightful, so I totally understand. I know I'm blessed that I get to live that life, and I know God wants you to experience it too. So, let's deal with some problem areas that might be preventing us from living these relationships. Are you arguing a lot? Have you noticed that wherever you go, I don't care if it's a boss or a coworker, do you tend to always be in a debate all the time? Do you feel that your loved ones are starting to pull away from you? Now, look, that's a real one. That's a big sign in my relationship now, but I've seen it before, but the biggest one that comes to mind was when my husband and I would say we had moved to Tyler, so it had to be around our third year of marriage, somewhere in there, third or fourth. No, yeah, third, because I know it was before. Anyway, that part's not important, but I do remember this. I'll never forget it. For 7 days, 7 days, my husband did not speak to me beyond, yeah, okay. No other conversation unless I directly asked him something. That's the only time. But I was mostly getting, yeah. Guys, something's wrong. Maybe you're in a relationship, you're arguing a lot, and they're just starting to pull away. There's no more communication. That's what we need to deal with on today. Now, if you're like me, I can't even remember the argument then, but I can remember an argument I just recently had. It was over a purchase of a gun. Okay? I am not, y'all, I'm born and raised in Texas. I am not against guns. Not at all. I am a concealed carrier myself. Okay? However, my husband made a purchase of another gun. Think about it. Just hold on to that. Yep, I'm going to do it to you. I'm going to make you wait for it. And I'll tell you the rest of that story later. Have you ever thought that the problem is you? Yeah, I know. I know I just hit a tender spot. It's never me. One of the things I hate is if I bring up an issue and my spouse says, but you did this. I notice that as much as it bothers me, I know it bothers him when I say it. He'll get to trying to tell me something. I say, but remember when you did this? Guys, that type of response is saying someone is not taking responsibility. Well, the thing that I know, one of the things I always teach, change begins with you. We cannot control other people. What am I saying? Today we're going to talk about admitting when you're wrong. Come on, chunk them up. In any argument, it takes two people. So if you're arguing, you are wrong. We're not going to look at how they were wrong, what they did. We're going to focus on ourselves. So you say, well, what is that? That is what they call responsibility behaviors. That's what we're going to learn about in this session. So you say, what are responsibility behaviors? There are 5 elements in the responsibility behaviors, but we only have time for 2 on today. But I'm going to tell you what all 5 are. Honesty, compassion or respect. It works together. Compassion or respect. Fairness, accountability, and courage. One more time. I have to make sure you got it, okay? Honesty, compassion, respect, fairness, accountability, and courage. We're going to take our time. Honesty. I went to John 8:32 in the scripture, and it says, and I went to paraphrasing it right at the end, and the truth shall set you free. Take an incident. I just want you to think about one argument that you recently had. You need to say, what part did I cause? Admit where you went wrong, right? So let's come back to my story. I'm going to bring them together. So we're going to talk about when I became honest with myself, because what do I want to prevent? I want to prevent another situation of where he shut down and he distances himself from me, where he can't talk to me. But I have to be honest about what about me caused him to where when I communicated about it, that he didn't feel free to share with me. And we've been married, 27 years? So come on, you know your husband and you know you by now. That's me talking to myself. That was my conversation. And then I'm going to show you where compassion or respect for him played a major part. So my husband, I see, and what's so funny is I realized that he had mentioned it, but he just mentioned it like, hey, I've been looking at a gun and da-da-da. Well, I had just thrown it out there. Oh, that's great. Because again, we like guns. We hunt, okay? In my book that I'm writing now, I've got a hog hunt in there because we hunt. So I thought it was a great idea, but I was like, maybe later, not right now. But I didn't share with him what my thinking was. He didn't share with me what his thinking was. And I thought it was a done deal. Then I look up and I'm scrolling through and then I see a big purchase on the bank statement. And so I was just like, hey, did somebody get into our account? That's happened before. I was like, do you know what this purchase is? And he's like, yeah, it's the gun. Wow. My face, people who know me know I communicate with my face. And I'm sure he knew it too. Because it was like, right? So then I'm like, well, why did you buy a gun? Yeah, I'm talking to a grown man. Why you buy a gun and blah? He said, I told you. And he did. He really did. So we had to go through, but some said, hold on. When I noticed that he wasn't talking anymore, he left the room and went away. I was like, boy, okay. Let's talk about, I'm going to bring it together, the honesty and the compassion. That compassion and that respect, the way I was really able to, we don't go to these 7 days of not talking anymore is because I understand the evaluation of who I am. My personality, I'm not going to say personality, it's an assessment of my behaviors as an influencer. My husband is a supporter on the DISC assessments. I talk about that all the time. You have the D, the I, the S, and the C. Okay? So I'm an influencer and my husband is a supporter. Out of respect of knowing who he is, he hates confrontation. So what does he do? He distances himself. Now we say in our relationships that we love our men, but women, let me tell you something. Men don't want to hear about how much we love them. That's not important to them. What's important to them is that they feel respected. It has been tested over and over again. I've taken enough marriage courses and counseling sessions, not just for us, but studying so we can present them And men want respect. That's me taking the time. Assessing your behaviors and your personality based off of who you are is very important. I'm so thankful that I have that on my own team right here at Joy K. Massenburg. Our own team, we have our specialist. We have our expert who's able to do that for us and do our assessments for us. So I am thankful, but it's a great benefit and a great investment that you need to know who you are. As an influencer, what? I'm in my feelings. I'm real passionate. And sometimes my passion comes across as argumentative, fussing, nagging. And I had to stop and be honest with myself and say, hey, did you approach him in the best manner? Couldn't you have said that in a different way? Even I know I'm learning some of the things I'm being reminded of. My husband's his love language is touch. I could have stopped what I was doing, went over there, touched his hand and say, hey, share with me why. But I didn't. It took me a minute. So I kind of set him off. But as soon as he distanced himself, I went in there and said, hold on, babe, I'm sorry. I would love to talk about this because I don't know your thinking. So I know that you need time. You need time to assess the whole situation. So what I'm asking you, I need to know what was your thinking behind getting the gun now? Because in my mind, we have a gun. The time is not great, in the midst of COVID. Our business was down for 3 months. We have some repairs that need to take place on the house. That was my ultimate concern. And that was what was driving me. It wasn't that he doesn't have a right to go purchase a gun. He's a grown man. He works every day and works hard. Why shouldn't he be able to go get a gun, right? But at the time, what was driving me was the storms had washed out my driveway and there's some work that needs to be done. And that was the only thing in my mind that was pressing me. And I was like, for you not to want to share that with me, then I haven't created an environment where you feel free to talk to me. And I apologize for that. Forgive me for that. I came at you the wrong way. And it was so beautiful. My husband was gone for the day, but he came back at the end of the day and I'm in there working, I'm writing. He comes and he sits down on the couch and he says, you know what? I've had time to think and to process everything. And he says, you know what? I understand now your point of view. He says, as a woman, your concerns is for the household. And so he began to just tell me, and I respect that. Then he comes back, he says, but as a man, he says, when I see the times that are happening, I want to protect my family. And so I was just, and I watched him and I was looking at his face, and he's so sweet. And he was so sincere. He says, so I don't want anybody coming in and bombarding on my home and I can't protect my family if something happens. And I was just like, okay, all right, I get that. And so after that, we were free. We was talking through some other things. It led to some open communication about some other things it seemed like we had been just a little distant on. So I'm going to tell you guys, a closed mouth, I know how to use good English. That's what I say. A closed mouth don't get heard. But if you have a need, if you need understanding from the other person, which is only showing respect and being compassionate enough to say, they're not me. They have a whole different thinking process. They are their own individual. And then if you're honest with yourself as your personality and you're different, how much of your personality can be offensive? Where can you back down and then be more loving for the other person? So what? That communication and that wholeness, because my family needs us to be together. They need us to communicate, right? And once we understand one another, it's beautiful. The relationship is beautiful because I've learned working together, we produce wonderful things. So I'm going to ask you again, examine yourself. In your relationships, are you arguing a lot? Are you always in a debate? Then I'm going to tell you, I can tell you right now, if you're arguing, you're wrong. Somewhere you decided to pick it up and act on it. And you're wrong too. You cannot change the other person. Change starts with you. Do you want these lasting relationships? Then you're going to have to communicate. How do I know? Let's go to the end. Ants communicate with each other. The pheromone is used as a communicating method between themselves and their family. They use their super sensitive antenna to show them the way to go. There are some 10 to 20 variable types of pheromone scents. Each scent would represent a chemical word depending on the ant type. Pheromones are used for various purposes. An ant is able to call a few ants to many thousands of ants for help or warning. Some of the pheromone signals vary in use from warning of an enemy attack, food location, attacking other enemies, or warning the colony of other dangers. These pheromones are very effective and work extremely well. I love the example when it was showing where a person had stepped on an ant. That ant released a pheromone that let the other ants know, don't come this way. There's danger. That same communication, if me and my husband are not one and we're not communicating, we miss the danger signs and are not able to send warnings when it comes to our family. Let me tell you something, I have busted my kids in some things that could have really become a great trouble in their life, but because me and their daddy was on one accord and we're communicating well, he would give me a little information. I'm like, Then I'll research a little bit and I'm like, babe, you know what? You're right. And we would both come together and then we would go to our children. And we have been able to stop some great things from coming in and bringing detriment to our family. So see, guys, communication is so important. Do not allow your inability to admit that you're wrong. Keep that from happening. We just can't let it happen. It depends on us. Open your mouth. Change begins with you. Remember, you can't change the other person. So casting blame and telling them what they didn't do, there's always room for you to find out what you didn't do either. And then when you become the example, as my daddy always say, you'll be that you wanted me to be. So guys, you be that you want others to be to you. And then be an example of what? They learn from an example. For many more examples of lasting relationships, connect with me. You know that I am your relationship girl. Go to my website, www.JKM&A.com. There you will find all types of things, all types of information. Remember, we're going to post up. I finished my challenge, my fruit and veggie challenge. Remember, I talked to y'all about that. So you will be able to see, I lost 9 pounds in the 7 days. Wow, I'm feeling good. It's been great. And when you say, well, why do you put that on your site? What does that have to do with you being a romance writer and all of this? It has everything. My optimal health, being able to write the books, being at full energy, being able to interact with my husband better, and my family and my grandchildren. And guess what? I don't want to shorten my days and not being able to walk in my calling. So there's all kinds of journeys. You never know what I'm going to post. So get to know me better. Keep going to that website. You never know what I put on there, right? That's www.joykmassenberg.com. And what do? Hey, we let others know what we're doing. You already know. Meet with me every morning. I tell everybody I am your morning motivator. Do you need to start your day with a cup of inspiration so that you can go out and have a productive day and be a joy to someone else? That's a Psalms 119 morning. Go to Instagram for that, right? And then on every Thursday, we meet right here. Ladies, if you are benefiting from the nuggets that I'm giving you, love somebody and share. Let's share. Let's make sure it's getting out and telling people to meet us here. And look, what do? Every 4th Thursday, we go live on my personal Facebook page so we can give away books or money or prizes because those questions are based off of the last joyful moments with joy that was done for that month. Because it's really important to me to invest in you getting the information because I want to see you. You were fashioned for love. And I want to see you enjoy and experience these relationships that you're reading about. God has so blessed me with that relationship, but I know He has no respect to person, right? He wants you to experience it too. So let's get ready for a recap. Remember, admit when you're wrong. Because if you're arguing, people are starting to distance themselves, you're part of the problem. And remember, we can't change others. I'm not telling you that it's not playing a part, others and what they do, but I am telling you that you can't control them. The only person that you can control is who? You. So, change begins with you. You can't control others. So what are you going to do? You be that you feel that they should have been. Let it begin with you. And we are building lasting relationships because we were fashioned for love. Hey guys, I love you and there's nothing you can do about it. All right, have a good day. Bye.